This after consumer watchdog Jen Strathman exposed customer problems. Jen?
A West Palm Beach man called me for help tracking down his car that vanished. What we found prompted the state to take action.
$89,000 BMW i7 selling for $31,000. $67,000 Cadillac Lyriq for $19,400. Dealers begging customers to take luxury cars. I'm standing in Tony Rodriguez's luxury car lot in Phoenix right now, watching him offer deals that sound like scams to customers who think he's lying. It's 4:30 p.m. on a Thursday, and he just offered a fully loaded BMW i7 electric sedan for $31,000 to a customer who walked away thinking it was a trick. I'm not lying about the price, Tony tells me, his voice cracking with desperation. I've had that BMW for 347 days. It's costing me $134 daily in floor plan interest. I'll sell it for whatever someone will pay. The BMW that nobody wants originally stickered at $89,350. Tony's total investment, including carrying costs, is now $132,748. He's willing to lose over $100,000 on one car just to stop the daily bleeding. But this isn't just about one luxury car or one dealer. This is about the systematic collapse of entire vehicle segments that nobody wants at any price. And what I'm about to show you will shock you about how desperate the automotive industry has become. But to understand how dealers are begging customers to take luxury cars, you need to see the mathematics that are destroying even the most successful dealerships in America. Tony's luxury car lot used to be the most profitable in Phoenix. BMW, Mercedes, and Cadillac customers paid full price and waited for delivery. Tony sold 180 luxury vehicles monthly with minimal discounting and maximum profit margins. Now, he's selling 23 vehicles monthly at massive losses just to generate enough cash flow to service his floor plan debt. I'm carrying $18.7 million in unsold luxury inventory, Tony explains, staring at rows of vehicles that have become toxic assets. My floor plan rate went from 3.1% to 12.4% in 7 months. My monthly financing cost went from $48,000 to $193,000. That's $6,433 daily, whether Tony sells one car or 50 cars. Every morning, he wakes up $6,433 poorer than when he went to sleep, watching his life's work disappear into carrying costs for vehicles nobody wants. The BMW i7 that's been sitting for 347 days represents Tony's worst nightmare. Original sticker price, $89,350. Tony's cost, $79,100. Daily carrying cost, $134. Total investment after 347 days, $125,598. Current market value, maybe $31,000 if he can find a buyer. But here's the shocking part. Tony considers any sale a victory at this point. I don't care about profit anymore, Tony admits. I just need to stop the bleeding before it kills my business. Every day these cars sit here, I lose more money. Therefore, Tony is taking massive losses on every sale because continuing to carry inventory costs more than liquidating it at any price. But Tony's desperation revealed something even more shocking about what customers are actually thinking about luxury vehicles. The customer who was offered the $31,000 BMW i7 walked away because he was worried about electric vehicle reliability, charging infrastructure, and resale value. Even at 65% off, customers are rejecting luxury electric vehicles entirely. He said he wouldn't take it for free because he can't charge it at home and doesn't trust the technology, Tony recalls. When customers won't take $89,000 cars for free, you know the market is broken. The customer's rejection reveals why dealers can't give luxury cars away. Modern luxury vehicles have become so complex and unreliable that customers don't trust them at any price. But Tony's inventory nightmare gets worse when you understand what's happening to his most expensive vehicles. That $127,000 Mercedes EQS electric sedan has been on his lot for 389 days. Tony's carrying cost is $191 daily. He's already invested $201,299 in a car that nobody wants at any price. I've dropped the price 6 times, Tony explains. Started at $127,000 in October, dropped to $109,000 in January, then $89,000 in April, then $67,000 in July, now $24,900, and I still can't find a buyer. The Mercedes EQS represents everything wrong with modern luxury cars. It's a $127,000 electric sedan with complex electronics, subscription-based features, and range anxiety that customers don't understand or trust. Therefore, Tony is trapped with inventory that becomes more expensive to own every day, while becoming less appealing to customers who have learned to avoid complex luxury vehicles. The worst-selling vehicles in America aren't random models. They're primarily electric vehicles that represent the automotive industry's biggest bet on technology that customers are actively rejecting. Mike Patterson runs a multi-brand dealership in Dallas, where electric vehicles have become a graveyard of unsold inventory. He has 73 electric vehicles on his lot, with an average age of 267 days, and carrying costs that are destroying his business. Electric vehicles are poison, Mike tells me, standing among rows of EVs that look like an automotive cemetery. Customers are terrified of them. Range anxiety, charging problems, battery replacement costs. Nobody wants to deal with it. Mike's EV inventory represents $4.8 million in vehicles that nobody wants. His daily carrying cost is $7,234 for cars that customers won't take at massive discounts. The mathematics are impossible. But Mike's EV disaster revealed something shocking about customer behavior. I offered a customer a $78,000 BMW iX for $23,000, Mike admits. He laughed and said he wouldn't take it for free because his apartment complex doesn't have charging stations. Even at 71% off, customers are rejecting electric vehicles entirely. The customer's rejection illustrates the fundamental problem with electric vehicles. The infrastructure doesn't exist to support them, the technology isn't reliable enough to trust, and the costs are too high for most customers to justify. Therefore, electric vehicles have become the worst-selling category in automotive history because they solve problems that customers don't have while creating problems that customers can't solve. But the EV graveyard extends beyond just luxury brands to mainstream manufacturers that bet everything on electric technology. Ford's Lightning electric truck has become a disaster for dealers who can't move them at any price. Linda Martinez's Ford dealership has 34 Lightnings that have been sitting for an average of 298 days. I'm selling $75,000 Lightning trucks for $28,000 and still can't move them, Linda explains. Customers don't trust electric trucks for work. They're worried about towing capacity, charging time, and what happens when the battery dies. Linda's Lightning liquidation reveals how electric vehicles have failed in every market segment. Luxury customers don't trust the technology. Work truck customers can't use vehicles that need charging. Family customers can't afford the infrastructure requirements. But the most shocking aspect of the EV graveyard is how it's affecting manufacturer strategies. General Motors announced last month that they're delaying electric vehicle production and returning to gasoline engines for most models. Ford is cutting Lightning production by 60%. Even Tesla is struggling with inventory buildup as demand collapses. The electric vehicle revolution is over before it started, explains automotive analyst Maria Santos. Customers have rejected the technology, and manufacturers are abandoning their EV strategies to focus on vehicles people actually want. Therefore, the electric vehicle graveyard represents the biggest product failure in automotive history, with billions in development costs and manufacturing capacity that will never be recovered. Beyond electric vehicles, traditional luxury cars have become equally unsellable as customers reject the complexity, costs, and unreliability of modern premium vehicles. Sarah Chen runs a Mercedes dealership in Phoenix, where luxury sedans have become impossible to sell at any price. Her S-Class inventory has been sitting for an average of 312 days, with some vehicles approaching 400 days unsold. I have a $134,000 S580 that I'll sell for $39,000, Sarah tells me, standing next to a vehicle that represents everything wrong with modern luxury cars. It has 47 electronic control modules, subscription-based features, and maintenance costs that scare away customers. Sarah's S-Class liquidation reveals how luxury cars have become too complex for customers to understand or afford. The vehicle that was supposed to represent the pinnacle of automotive engineering has become a technological nightmare that nobody wants. But Sarah's luxury car problems revealed something even more shocking about customer preferences. Customers specifically ask for older Mercedes without all the electronics, Sarah explains. They want simple luxury cars that they can understand and maintain. Modern luxury cars are too complicated and unreliable. The customer preference for older luxury vehicles represents a complete rejection of modern automotive technology. Instead of wanting the latest features, buyers are actively seeking simpler vehicles they trust more than anything new. Therefore, luxury car manufacturers have destroyed their own market by prioritizing technology over the reliability and simplicity that customers actually value. But the luxury car apocalypse extends beyond just German brands to American luxury manufacturers that are struggling even more. Cadillac's electric Lyriq has become one of the worst-selling vehicles in America. Tom Rodriguez's Cadillac dealership has 28 Lyriqs that have been sitting for an average of 334 days. I'm selling 67,000 Lyriqs for $19,400 and customers still won't take them, Tom explains. They don't trust Cadillac's electric technology, and they're worried about service support if the dealership closes. Tom's Lyriq disaster illustrates how American luxury brands are failing even worse than German competitors. Customers don't trust domestic manufacturers to build reliable luxury vehicles, especially with unproven electric technology. But the most shocking aspect of the luxury car apocalypse is how it's affecting resale values. The luxury vehicles being liquidated at massive discounts are destroying resale values for all premium cars. When customers see $89,000 BMWs selling for $31,000, they assume all luxury cars are overpriced and refuse to pay market rates for anything. A customer offered me $12,000 for my 2020 S-Class because he saw dealers liquidating new ones at huge discounts, explains private seller Patricia Walsh. He thought my used car should be priced like the liquidation vehicles. Therefore, the luxury car liquidation is creating unrealistic expectations that are spreading throughout the entire premium vehicle market, making it impossible for anyone to sell luxury cars at sustainable prices. The worst-selling vehicles aren't limited to luxury and electric cars. Mainstream models from major manufacturers are also sitting unsold as customers reject entire categories of vehicles. Jennifer Walsh runs a Nissan dealership, where the Aria electric SUV has become a complete disaster. She has 41 Arias that have been sitting for an average of 289 days, with carrying costs that are destroying her profitability. I'm selling 45,000 Arias for $18,000, and customers still won't take them, Jennifer explains. They don't trust Nissan's electric technology, and they're worried about charging infrastructure and battery replacement costs. Jennifer's Aria disaster illustrates how electric vehicles are failing across all price points and market segments. Customers aren't just rejecting luxury EVs, they're avoiding all electric vehicles regardless of brand or price. But Jennifer's problems extend beyond just electric vehicles to traditional gasoline models that customers are also rejecting. The Nissan Sentra has become one of the worst-selling sedans in America as customers abandon small cars in favor of SUVs. Jennifer has 67 Sentras that have been sitting for an average of 234 days. Customers don't want small cars anymore, Jennifer says. They want SUVs, but they can't afford the SUVs we're selling, so they're keeping their old vehicles instead of buying anything new. Jennifer's Sentra inventory reveals how changing customer preferences are making entire vehicle categories obsolete. The sedan market has collapsed as customers demand SUVs, but SUV prices have become unaffordable for most buyers. Therefore, manufacturers are trapped between customer preferences they can't satisfy and price points that customers can't afford. But the mainstream disasters extend to SUVs that should be popular but have become unsellable due to complexity and cost. The Infiniti QX60 has become one of the worst-selling SUVs in America, despite being in a popular category. David Park's Infiniti dealership has 52 QX60s that have been sitting for an average of 267 days. The QX60 has everything customers say they want, David explains. 3 rows, good fuel economy, luxury features, but it's too expensive and too complicated. Customers would rather keep their old SUVs than take on 700 monthly payments for something they don't trust. David's QX60 inventory illustrates how even vehicles in popular categories can become unsellable when they are priced beyond customer reach and loaded with technology that customers don't want. But the most shocking mainstream disaster is how it's affecting vehicle categories that were supposed to be recession-proof. Pickup trucks, traditionally the most popular vehicles in America, are sitting unsold as customers reject complex, expensive modern trucks in favor of older, simpler models. The Ram 1500 TRX, a $89,000 performance truck, has become one of the worst-selling vehicles in America. Carlos Martinez's Ram dealership has 23 TRXs that have been sitting for an average of 298 days. Nobody wants an $89,000 pickup truck that gets 8 miles per gallon, Carlos explains. Customers want work trucks, not performance toys. The TRX is a solution to a problem that doesn't exist. Therefore, even pickup trucks, the backbone of American automotive sales, have become unsellable when manufacturers prioritize performance over practicality and price vehicles beyond customer reach. Get my free guide, Avoid these 17 cars in 2025, by visiting the link in the description. These worst-selling vehicles dominate that list for obvious reasons. Dealers across America have abandoned traditional sales tactics and are literally begging customers to take vehicles, using strategies that would have been unthinkable just 2 years ago. Mike Rodriguez's BMW dealership has implemented what he calls desperation pricing, offering vehicles at prices so low that customers think he's lying or running a scam. I called a customer and offered him a $78,000 X7 for $24,000, Mike explains. He hung up on me because he thought it was a scam call. When dealers offer 69% discounts, customers assume something's wrong. Mike's desperation pricing strategy reveals how far dealers have fallen. They're offering deals that customers don't believe because the discounts are so extreme they seem impossible. But Mike's begging strategy goes beyond just low prices to include services that eliminate every possible customer objection. I offer free delivery, free maintenance for 5 years, and I'll buy their trade at above market value, Mike says. I'm essentially paying customers to take cars off my lot, but I need the cash flow more than I need profit. Mike's comprehensive begging package illustrates how dealers are willing to eliminate all profit and absorb additional costs just to move inventory and generate cash flow. Therefore, dealers have transformed from profit-focused businesses to inventory liquidation services that prioritize cash flow over profitability. But the dealer begging strategy has evolved to include emotional appeals that reveal just how desperate the situation has become. Sarah Chen's Mercedes dealership has started what she calls personal appeals, having the dealer principal personally call customers to explain the financial crisis and ask for help. I tell customers that I'm facing bankruptcy and need their help to survive, Sarah admits. I explain that buying a car from me isn't just getting a deal, it's helping save jobs and keep the dealership open. Sarah's personal appeals strategy represents the complete abandonment of professional sales tactics in favor of emotional manipulation based on genuine desperation. But the most shocking dealer begging strategy is how they're targeting specific customer groups with customized desperation tactics. Tom Patterson's Cadillac dealership has started targeting senior citizens with legacy appeals, suggesting that buying a Cadillac helps preserve American automotive heritage. I tell older customers that Cadillac is an American icon that needs their support, Tom explains. I appeal to their patriotism and nostalgia to overcome their logical objections to buying vehicles they don't need. Tom's legacy appeals strategy reveals how dealers are using emotional manipulation to overcome rational customer decision-making about vehicles that don't provide value. Therefore, the dealer begging strategy has evolved from price discounts to emotional manipulation, as dealers become increasingly desperate to move unsellable inventory. The 15 worst-selling vehicles in America represent more than just individual model failures. They reveal the complete breakdown of the automotive market and the fundamental disconnect between what manufacturers build and what customers actually want. The worst-selling vehicles share common characteristics that explain why customers are rejecting them. They're too expensive for most buyers, too complex for customers to understand, too unreliable for customers to trust, and too impractical for real-world use. Electric vehicles dominate the worst-selling list because they solve problems that customers don't have while creating problems that customers can't solve. Range anxiety, charging infrastructure, battery replacement costs, and technology complexity make EVs unsuitable for most American drivers. Luxury vehicles are failing because manufacturers have prioritized technology over reliability, creating complex systems that customers don't trust and can't afford to maintain. The simplicity and quality that once defined luxury has been replaced by electronic complexity that scares away buyers. Mainstream vehicles are struggling because manufacturers have priced them beyond customer reach, while loading them with features that customers don't want or need. The basic transportation that customers seek has been replaced by technology showcases that customers can't afford. But the most significant revelation from the worst-selling vehicles list is how it's changing customer behavior permanently. American consumers have learned that avoiding new vehicles entirely is safer than trying to identify reliable options among unreliable choices. The customer rebellion against new cars is accelerating as more buyers discover that older vehicles provide better value and reliability. When every new vehicle is a potential disaster, the smart choice is to avoid new vehicles entirely, explains customer behavior expert Patricia Walsh. Customers are choosing older, simpler vehicles they understand over newer, complex vehicles they fear. The customer rebellion is permanent because it's based on real experiences with unreliable modern vehicles and unaffordable ownership costs. No amount of discounting or begging can overcome the fundamental trust breakdown between manufacturers and consumers. Therefore, the worst-selling vehicles represent the automotive industry's failure to understand and serve customer needs, creating products that customers actively avoid rather than embrace. The dealers who are begging customers to take these vehicles will either adapt by focusing on older, more reliable models, or they'll close permanently as customer demand for new vehicles disappears entirely. The manufacturers that created these worst-selling vehicles will face the consequences as customers permanently abandon their brands in favor of alternatives that provide actual value and reliability. Next week, I'm revealing something that will shock you about which car brands are facing complete extinction because of failures like these worst-selling vehicles. While dealers beg customers to take individual models, entire manufacturers are on the brink of disappearing forever. I'm talking about 7 car brands that may not survive the next 2 years because they've lost customer trust completely. The information I'm going to share will help you understand which brands to avoid and which might offer last-chance deals before they disappear. Hit the bell icon so you don't miss that video because the brand extinction list includes surprises that will change how you think about automotive reliability and value. Dealers are begging you to take these worst-selling cars, but smart buyers are looking for brands that will still exist to honor warranties and provide service support.